Well, it's 3 weeks now into the Queensland election campaign, and it is clearly a close-run affair. The Morgan poll released during this week has the Labor Party ahead 51-49%, but that's well within the error of margin, and it is also closer than the previous poll, which had it at 52-48. There's a huge postal vote as well as pre-poll vote that we're seeing ahead of this election. Pre-polling anticipated to be well in excess of 50% of the votes cast. It's hard to know whether this favours the incumbent or indeed the challenger. On one hand, you might think that that kind of level of early voting is a sign of discontent, that people are looking to get out and vote and show their frustrations. Or it could simply be an example that they're trying to avoid being busy on the Saturday of the election, and that could favour the incumbent, Anastasia Palaszczuk. The big issue of the week, though, was her decision as Premier to say that there would be a conscience vote on euthanasia on the other side of the election. This is not an election commitment to Labor supporting euthanasia. Far from it, in fact. There'll be a conscience vote. The LNP, they're shying away from confirming what they'll do, saying they'll wait to see what the Law Reform Commission says. The simple fact is this: if there is not a conscience vote on both sides of the parliament, it would likely fail because party solidarity for or against it would therefore tip the balance. So this isn't so much an election commitment as much as it is a commitment to the idea of, in the aftermath of the election, there could well be a free vote on this moral issue in particular. There was an absence of federal MPs on the campaign trail, including the Prime Minister, who had been up in Queensland the week before. That, of course, is because federal parliament was sitting during the course of the week. The election is getting tighter, as I mentioned. We're counting down to polling day. We'll see what the final weeks of the campaign hold before we see whether or not this Labor government gets re-elected for a third term. I'll see you again at the same time next week to discuss exactly who's likely to win on the eve of that election.